Dad. How are you today?
Hey, Jordana. I'm terrific. I fell back last night, the end of daylight savings time. Spring forward, fall back, and I hope all of our friends and family out there have also enjoyed the extra hour of sleep this morning. And we had a wonderful, wonderful Hallmark. And it was the cream de cream of Hallmark.
Oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed this one,
It was
Dad.
terrific. It was super.
I kind of thought you may enjoy this one. This was the Saturday night feature. It was called Our Holiday Story, and it fit what you really enjoy, which is a story within a story.
Yes, it was so enjoyable, Jordana. It highlighted Saturday. I mean, we had wonderful football games on. We saw such fine teams stay undefeated, and blurry-eyed and eating supper, I said to myself, oh, will I be able to stay awake for Hallmark? And the real thing was, I couldn't keep my eyes off of Hallmark. Their story, our holiday story, was so full of love and enjoyment and fulfillment, and it kept you and your mother and I so enthralled. How did you like the story?
So I thought this one was interesting. I enjoyed, there was a little pieces of some humorous parts in it too, starting at the beginning, and we'll go through this. It is about a father, or a couple, I should say, but how they basically meet. And so what we see is this couple are planning on going to the girlfriend's house for the holidays. Yes. And we find out...
And for the young man to meet her parents.
Correct. Yes. And so we find out that he arrives there early because she, for reasons, did not make her train. And so this Christmas train that she's supposed to be taking into where they live. And it's funny because there seems to be, and you'll see this in the movie, that it's happens to not only her but her father, that things happen with their phone, where the phone seems to die in perfect placement.
That's happened to all of us.
Right. And
where
so
your phone doesn't go off, you look and it's dead. But what was so interesting was that the young man who was going to be introduced to her parents arrived. She wasn't there. And so he became left with enjoying her parents on the first meeting without his intended girlfriend.
And so as she was talking to him before going in, she was starting to explain to him not to bring whatever you do, don't ask them how they met.
How they met.
Because,
and of course, he didn't hear that.
He didn't hear it. The phone died.
Her phone died. And he was there with her parents without her. And of course, he asked the question.
As most people do. Like the first thing, you don't know anybody, you're sitting down, you're having some coffee or whatever you do, and you're like, so, how did you meet?
So with people you've never met before.
Yeah. And so, lo and behold, we get the story within a story.
What a story. And the story within the story had a lot of going back and forth over a period of 10 years.
Yeah.
And this parent couple started to narrate how they met. And the story was so wonderful, so inspiring, so beautiful. And it showed their love despite all of the hazards that was thrown in their path.
Yeah, I mean, tons of missed opportunities that just happened and kind of got in the way.
It was so much fun.
Yeah, it was. There was so many things that got in the way through the years that they just, forgetting to write down the phone number. They got stuck doing this. And it was fun. It was a fun movie.
It's a story that any married couple with children would enjoy. It's a story of that young people who are just getting started with their love life, their marital careers, etc., would enjoy.
And a little bit about mistaken identity.
Oh, yes.
You know, we go by nicknames a lot in life.
Yes, and who would know how people have their nicknames, where they get them from. But most of us have nicknames. We're not called by our lengthy first name, but nicknames are part of life. For instance, you're Jordana, and we know you as Jordy. And when we talk about Jordy, people sometimes don't know we're talking about Jordana. But I thought that the storyline was just outstanding, and so did you.
Yeah, it was fun, and so I really thought this was a great one. I really thought that Hallmark did a great job displaying and kind of bringing us through this.
Tell
story.
our Hallmark fans about the actors and actresses.
Oh yes. So in this movie, we had two main characters. There were also a great supporting cast as usual, but the two main characters in it was Nikki DeLoach, I think is her name. I don't know how to pronounce her last name.
That's all right, DeLoach.
And she played the character Nell, who also went by Eleanor. And but they met as Nell and Dave. And Warren Christie was Dave or David. And so that was a little bit of the mistaken identity there. But Nikki, interestingly enough, and anybody who is a Gen Xer like myself may remember her from the Mickey Mouse Club, where Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, and all were on. She was on that from years ago.
Oh, her, theatrical performances, movie performances, go back to when she was a young person.
12 years old.
Oh, and she was outstanding. She's played in so many parts over the years, and she is well known to Hallmark fans for her outstanding performances.
And he's been too on several Hallmark. So these are not for unfamiliar Hallmark actors and actresses. And then I thought the supporting cast. I thought the daughter, and I did not write her name down, who played JoJo. I thought she was great.
Sydney Scotia.
Okay.
And she was great. And she played in two separate portions of the 10-year span of this romance that we watched.
And she was meddling. I loved how she was, at that time we didn't have, when they first got together, there was no internet at the time, or it wasn't the same thing with like cell phones and stuff. So she was doing, I don't know if anybody, people may remember this, but you went into like the newspaper and you'd be like, misconnections, like in the newspaper, like that you missed somebody on the train. And so she was doing that for her dad. It was great, I thought.
Oh, that added so much to the wonderful, outstanding movie that we watched. What was also very interesting, that the writer, Joy Botkin, Botkin, presented a beautiful story for all the Hallmark fans to watch. And what's interesting also is that this film was produced with rehearsal time in just 2 weeks.
Wow.
And Hallmark continuously puts out these wonderful, wonderful movies for us to enjoy with just a 2-week time span of rehearsal and getting together. And the two leads have to adapt to each other in that 2 weeks. And if you could just imagine the beautiful facial expressions that the two leads had for each other, it's almost like you and your wife were being portrayed on television with the wrinkle of the lip, the closing of the eye, the smile, the smirk. They all had it there, and it made me feel like it was Nana and myself when we were in our 30s, except that's 50 some odd years ago. And you too will feel like you're part of this movie, this Hallmark wonder that I think you really enjoyed.
Yeah, and you guys did too. I really thought this was a nice presentation that they put on, and It's a must see, I think, for everybody.
Yes. If you haven't seen it, during the week, it's going to be a very busy week with voting. Put the Hallmark movie, Our Holiday Story, on, and you will have a wonderful 2 hours of entertainment, and you will feel like you too are part of this story. So what's for next week?
So next week there's a couple movies. So tonight it actually looks like there's a really good one on called The Holiday Mismatch, which hopefully we'll be able to see. There's so many. I've told you guys there are so many great movies that are on this year. So The Holiday Mismatch is tonight. Friday night is called Trivia at St. Nick's. This is about where an annual Christmas trivia, a bar trivia happens during the winter break. And so there's a needed fill-in for a teammate from their astronomy professor has to go away that was supposed to be on this team. And the fill-in is the football team's offensive coordinator. And so that should be kind of interesting. It's a little different of a dynamic.
Where does Hallmark come up with all these wonderful movies and wonderful talent?
I know. So that should be fun, I think, because it's totally different.
It just overwhelms us all.
And then the last one on Saturday night. So we've been kind of flipping between Friday night and Saturday nights. And Saturday nights is called Santa Tell Me. And this is about a woman who finds a letter, an older letter from Santa. And this is promising her that she will find her Mr. Right, the love of her life, by Christmas Eve, and his name will be Nick. Now, the problem is she runs into and finds 3 guys named Nick. So she has to figure out which one is Mr. Right by Christmas Eve. So that should be interesting, too. So I'm not sure which one we're going to watch.
Well, we'll pick it out, and then we'll report to our fans the best of Hallmark. But it's hard to pick the best Hallmark because this year Hallmark is really hitting it out of the ballpark.
They have. Now we did watch the Christmas charade this week with Rachel Skartson and Corey Server. That was fantastic. We started to watch A Carol for Two. We got to finish that one. That's full of all Broadway stars from like Wicked and Chicago. So that should be exciting. I mean, there's so much talent.
So much to do. But remember also that tomorrow night we have the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And of course, they're undefeated with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. So that should be a wonderful, wonderful entertainment to watch tomorrow night. And on Tuesday, we should vote.
Everybody needs to get out and vote.
Get out and vote. And that is your right as an American citizen. And you must exercise your right. And we then will spend Tuesday night watching the tallying of the votes.
I think they say till like Thursday or who knows how long. So we'll wait and see.
We'll wait and see. But in the meantime, if you need any diversion, go to Hallmark's channel. The channel is full of wonderful stories, this year especially.
And they're playing the ones from last year too. So all day long, it's Christmas, countdown to Christmas, all day long on Hallmark.
That's right. Now, the one thing I do want to bring to everybody's attention is that during the year, we watch the award ceremonies for the Academy Award and for the Emmys, and we don't have awards for Hallmark's wonderful stories. And people are beginning to recognize that perhaps we should have awards to recognize the wonderful films and the productions that Hallmark brings to all of us and shares with us. And of course, they're not all home run hitting stories, but many of them are. And they will bring you, Jordana, and they bring us such pleasure and entertainment.
And joy. And I think the most important thing right now is that spark of joy that each week or each night, sometimes I watch them over and over again, different ones from other years, just when I just want a little bit of happiness. And that's what Hallmark brings. When you talk to someone watching the Hallmark channel, any channel of all 3 or however many there are, and now a lot of people are watching Hallmark Plus, which I'm a little jealous because it looks fantastic. That groomsman we were talking about is on Hallmark Plus. But it brings joy to
Yes,
everybody.
and we have to let you know that we don't work for Hallmark.
No.
We do go out and buy their birthday cards, like this weekend. And that's the only thing I have related to Hallmark, except that Hallmark gives you and myself such pleasure.
Yeah.
And we share that with our viewing audience.
So thank you for spending this and
Yes.
watching this. If there is, again, one of the preferred movies you want us to
Yes.
review, or
Let us know.
if there's ones you are seeing on the Hallmark app that you are seeing that you want to watch and you want reviewed this holiday season, put it in the comments. We'll
Yes.
watch it and we'll review it. We're excited to get these
Absolutely.
reviews in. And thank you again for
And
subscribing.
vote on Tuesday. Everybody have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next Sunday. We're looking forward to it.
Have a great one, everybody.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Jordana.